And
we are back.
Welcome back, guys. This is episode 4 of What the Pluck. And as you can probably tell by our background, we are not in my front room anymore.
No, we're not.
We are not.
We've
got a guest.
We're branching out.
Oh, this is a day out for us.
It is. It's lovely.
It really is.
We've booked a table at Alchemist and lot.
Absolutely. Only time we get to go out nowadays that we've got babbies in it.
I know.
So, guys, as we mentioned, we're not at home. We've actually got a guest. And I'm really excited for this guest because I feel like it's a part of our industry that we've not necessarily touched on a lot.
Yeah.
And obviously you're in this part of the industry.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned it a few times, but we've never sat down and had a conversation with someone about it.
Yeah. So I'm excited about this as well.
I am.
Yeah.
So I'll not hold you in, is it dispense? I'll not.
Dispense.
Dispense.
What's
this? Oh, that's like Ansoap, isn't it? I'll not keep you in suspense.
What a dick.
Suspense anymore. Let's just introduce the guest because I'm messing this up. Guys, we're joined by Claire. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
Are
Claire.
you all right?
Yes, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
It's all right. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, amicaaesthetics, what it is that you do?
Yeah, sure. I started in the beauty industry, actually. Funnily enough, I was actually one of the first people to train in HD brows.
Were you?
Yeah, so many years ago, as you'll know, because obviously you've done HD brows for so long. So yeah, I was one of the first people within God knows how many mile radius of me that trained in HD. So that's where I actually started. So I did loads and loads of HD brows, did my beauty training, sort of branched off into sort of beauty, did that for a while, and then semi-permanent makeup. So I did the eyebrow tattooing, lip tattooing, that sort of thing. I did that for quite a lot of years, and then I decided that I was really interested in the aesthetic side of things. And back then, I think not many people kind of knew that if you weren't a medic that you could train in aesthetics, whereas you can. So I did train and then basically never looked back. I absolutely loved aesthetics. Worked for myself obviously for a long time, did lots of different training, built my client base. 6 years in, sort of thought, right, I'm really experienced now, really busy. I'm sort of ready to teach other people what I know, and then started the training academy as well. So now I've got the clinic and the academy under one roof here where we are now, in Leeds, and pretty much 12 staff members. So huge growth. It was really funny actually because a memory came up on my Facebook from when I first ever started, and it was a picture of a HD brow chair in my living room when I worked like 2 days a week doing HD brows, and then it's like, you see sort of where you've come from that to 12 people, working with 12 people and having the academy and the clinic, and you just think you just never expected it to. It's
inspirational for other people in the industry
to grow that much.
Start out doing like one course. Definitely. You've got like have you got various clinics though, or have you got different locations that you go to?
Yeah, so basically we've got the main clinic here, which is in Leeds, but then we do clinic days in York, Doncaster and Newcastle, but we don't have like a clinic premises there. We rent space in other clinic rooms, and sort of ask like my staff members, Ryan, Ellie, etc. Marisa will do the clinic days in other areas as well.
So I just want to ask you, because you did a campaign last year and it was about more than meets the eye. So with that, was that basically based around people do have like aesthetic treatments now more for like their well-being and how they feel rather than how they look aesthetically?
Yeah, I think obviously being in the industry as long as I have, like 10 years, just in aesthetics, not including the beauty, I've sort of been in the industry for like 9-10 years. And I've seen like a massive, huge shift in the industry, what people want and why people have treatments done. And I think that you still see a lot of sort of really extreme looks with aesthetics and things like that. But I think now people are realising that beauty is about how you feel about yourself and being confident within yourself. It doesn't mean that you need to, look a certain way or you need to look like that girl in the magazine. It's about you being happy with how you feel. So we've seen a massive shift, and we have encouraged it massively in people that are coming in for treatments, not necessarily having, huge face packages that are changing how they actually look. It's about, having that conversation. Well, to be honest, why don't you try some skin boosters that are going to boost the brightness of the skin, the tone, the texture? Why don't you have a Morpheus 8 treatment? And don't get me wrong, we're not saying don't have little tweakments. And if then that's making someone...
Tweakments.
I love that.
That's going in the Pluck dictionary. We have these certain words, Claire, that we just bang, and we just get a little light bulb moment when somebody says something, we're like... Yeah, we're having that.
So I do feel like it's about encouraging people to feel happy in their own skin. And like I've said, little tweakments, absolutely fine, but you don't, if somebody comes in with, unrealistic expectations and wanting to actually look like somebody else, we would turn that treatment away.
Him, 100%. Honestly, Claire.
When you said that, I could feel her eyes burning into the back of me. Like,
so obviously, I do aesthetic treatments, and so one of my number one clients is Jamie. But I do have to curb him in a little bit.
Yeah, and the thing is, when I look at Jamie, obviously you do his aesthetics. His face looks really good.
Thanks.
Whatever you have done, it isn't like you would look at Jamie and go, oh wow, he's had 10 mil lip filler, he's had this, he's had that, so clearly you have given him tweakments rather than anything too extreme.
I think as well, you'll probably agree with this, it's massively important to not think about the money that the client can give you. Actually, it's your reputation on their face. So when he sends me pictures of people off Instagram saying I want to look like that, I'm like, honey, no.
And you know what, the longer you've been in the industry, the more brutally honest that you get as well. I remember when I first started, I was so nervous to say to a client, well, this is kind of unrealistic, this is what we can achieve with X, Y and Z. Whereas now, because I'm so experienced,
you can say no.
It's like you're not nervous to do that, and the client appreciates it as well with the honesty.
Yeah, and I think clients as well, I've had, Jamie knows of a client that she constantly bombards me for lip filler, and I just point blank will say no. I do her lip filler when I think she's ready for it. But even though I say no, she'll always come back to me and only let me touch them, because I will say to her, no, you're going to ruin your face.
Well, you've basically built a level of trust. And that is one thing where we've got such a good reputation, is because we aren't, and I've never been somebody that's more bothered about lining my own pocket than the actual client.
Me too.
And the amount of treatments that we turn away weekly, is crazy. But ultimately, the client at the time, it might not be what they want to hear, but they are then going to go away, and you always get that message, like you said, or that person coming back and saying, well, actually, I really trust you because you could have just done X, Y, and Z, and you haven't. And that's then a lifelong client as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And I have noticed this shift in people, because there were one point where people were just looking the same.
Oh, massively.
Like you mentioned about these packages.
Crazy.
It's like everyone had the same package.
Yes.
And you'd go out and you'd think...
You could buy a package that had jaw filler, cheekbone filler and lip filler all in one, but then not everybody needs that. And
it was all the same look. So I don't know if you can remember, and you'll have seen it, and a lot of people will, where you were seeing these jawlines that were like the corner of a brick wall.
Really,
and it's
really
like
square,
right, okay, from the side on that Instagram picture, they've got this really defined jawline, which was too extreme anyway, completely unnatural. But then the client turns to the front and it's widened their entire face from massively. The front. It looks really boxy, really unnatural, but they're only showing the side view. And these younger girls are feeling the pressure, they're booking in, they're getting these treatments done, and like you said, they all look the same, and it actually looks completely unnatural.
And I think as well, if people go too far with aesthetics, sometimes, especially like really young girls, it makes them look older.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I can see young girls out now, and they all do look the same, or they used to all look the same, but they do. It's making them like age, like, and you think if you're starting with aesthetics and really heavily like starting with it, what are you going to be like in like 10 years? You're going to have to like keep carrying on, or what is your face going to look like?
Yeah, I think as well it's really important with people in the industry now to kind of manage younger expectations and the pressure that is on younger women. When somebody comes in our clinic, if they look under 25, they've got to provide ID. Obviously it's illegal to treat anyone under 18, and you do get people coming in that are under 18 that will try, and obviously that's one thing. And the other thing is we won't do a treatment on, so for example, if we got somebody in for 3 areas of Botox and they were 19 years old and they've got no move, it's like, why are we going to do that? Like, we're not going to do that. Whereas a lot of people in the industry, which are the ones that obviously give other people more of a bad name, are the ones that are injecting anyone because they're thinking, well, that's £200 in my pocket, so I'm just going to do that.
And you see it's so cheap everywhere, Claire. Like, there's places that are popping up that's saying, or I've seen adverts for like, if you buy a mil of filler, your friend will get one free as well. Like, just to bring people in and to have like really like the prices that they charge. I've said to you before, I can't even buy my filler or whatever at that. So or Botox. I'm thinking, what the hell are they putting in?
I mean, some of the stories that I've had in here from clients that have had experiences, obviously in 9 years I've got a lot of clients that have had bad experiences elsewhere, and some of the stories are crazy. And like you say, you do wonder what people are using when someone's getting 3 areas of toxin for £50. The licensed toxin, you've got your prescription that you need for the client.
Absolutely.
You would be at a minus. Like, how is anybody doing that? But unfortunately, there are a lot of people that don't look into these things. They're not aware enough of what the regulations are. They're just booking an appointment thinking, oh, well, that's £50. I'm just going to go there and get it done. Then they have problems with, they'll come here and say, oh, well, it only lasted a week. Well, obviously it's been heavily diluted to do the toxin at that price,
So I was just going to touch on as well then, do you think, well, not do you think, because I know the answer to this, but social media massively plays a part in people wanting these certain looks, and how we said, people were starting to look the same. But do you think with social media there's become a lot more like this clean girl aesthetic and like all about skincare? Do you think that's helped the shift as well of people and aesthetic treatments?
I think there's been a huge shift as well in influencers having to step up to help with the problem that we have with social media pressure, people feeling like they've got to live up to what is, and the thing is there's always a trend,
and that's all it is.
Then it changes, and that's the problem. And it's like there's always a trend, and then everybody jumps on that trend, and everybody wants that. And I think that they've got to a point now where they've had to do something about it, because mental health issues, are through the roof.
100%.
Anxiety, people feeling the pressure, not being happy in their own skin. And I'm 40 now. When I were that age, you had none of this. I went out, I didn't even brush my hair. Literally, popper joggers.
I used to have a spray tan, go home, get changed, and go straight out in it. Like, not even wash it off or anything.
There was
minging.
Honestly, it was just like it was just not a thing. Like, you just dressed however you wanted, you went out, it was fine. The pressure now is obviously huge, and I feel like there's been a massive shift in influencers taking note of that and pushing other things like looking more natural, the skin side of it. You see a lot now, and that's great. We don't mind people promoting healthy skin. That's amazing. What we don't want is people promoting these really, really pixie tip lifts that are completely unnatural, these jawlines that are like, you know, it's crazy. Really pointy chins that don't look right, you know, things like that. We want natural enhancements. I think the one thing as well is people now know with social media how highly edited things are. So what I mean by that is obviously they might see a picture and think, oh my God, this person looks amazing. I think now it's got uncovered a little bit as social media, and people kind of know, well, that person doesn't even actually look like that. Yeah. Whereas when I was in the earlier years of aesthetics, people didn't know that. Yeah. No. People didn't know that people were highly editing the pictures, and then they felt like they weren't good enough. Because why don't I look like that? Yeah. Whereas it's kind of has been uncovered a little bit, don't you think?
We can tell it even like when people upload pictures of treatments that they've done. I can spot it a mile off, and I think that's edited. Yeah. Do you know, like that, or whatever. You can, and it is. There is so many people that, like you say, they'll look absolutely flawless. And like celebrities, influencers that are putting on these really highly edited pictures that are then obviously it filters down to these younger kids who are still at school, like saying, well, I've got acne and I don't look like that and blah, blah, blah. It's not realistic. Yeah. And it is a breath of fresh air when you do see an influencer put a video on or whatever of taking the makeup off and having no makeup on.
Don't you think there's more and more influencers doing that now? Yeah. With bodies as well, you know, natural bodies. Yeah. And I think that is great to see. Yeah. There needs to be more of it, but it is really, really good to see that.
Yeah, there is a lot of influencers that are showing like stretch marks, cellulite, stuff like that, and not showing this absolute stick thin, perfect body. Yeah. So it is like a breath of fresh air really for that.
So let's talk about training, because obviously you've got the training academy here and you do loads of different courses, but what would you say are kind of some key things that people should look for when they want to do training in the aesthetics? Obviously you're going to hit Amica Aesthetics up on Instagram, but what are the key things that you would say like people need to be looking out for?
I think again I've seen a massive shift with the training side of things. So when I first started teaching, the high quality of the training was also always the priority, whereas now and you'll see this being in the industry, you know, there's something that'll pop up where I think basically what people need to be careful of is if it looks too good to be true, it is. Yeah. And the amount of students we have to retrain in this industry, because what they've done is they've gone, oh, this academy are teaching me 15 different treatments when I've not even got a beauty background in 3 days for £1,000. Yeah. Yeah. Red flag. Yeah. How do you teach somebody that amount of information in that amount of time for that amount of money? It's crazy. Yeah. So I think one thing that people need to be really careful of is not trying to get the quick fix. Yeah. Right, I don't want to spend a lot of money. I want to do aesthetics, so I'm going to spend as little money as possible, learn as much as I can, because you're not actually learning it. No. And you either have to retrain or you're going out there and you don't know what you're doing and it's dangerous. Yeah. You know.
I can remember when I used to teach brows and people would have been on like a 1-day microblading course. Oh, yeah. And then they'd come in and they'd be like, oh, I've booked onto this training because I did my microblading, but I don't know how to like shape a brow. Yeah, yeah. And I'd be like,
just madness.
You've done a course and you're going to tattoo someone's eyebrows on, but you don't know how to design a brow.
Yeah, yeah.
It's honestly crazy the things that you see. Like, how could you even go through the theory of all those different things in 3 days? Yeah. It's just not possible.
No, it's not.
Scary.
Yeah. There is a lot, same with brows and stuff like that. There's like these 1-day courses to teach you how to do this. They don't even have to see them in person. Yeah. They do it online. Yeah. And you think, what the hell? Like it's mental, the courses, but it's all for money. Yeah.
I think another thing as well that people need to be really careful of is when they're booking a course is that when they choose an academy, they're not checking who they're being taught by. Yeah. You do not have to actually be in the industry that long to teach. I was doing aesthetics for 6 years back to back with clients, so I had the experience. I wasn't working one day a week doing 3 clients. I was doing it full time. I'd seen every possible thing that you could see before I even considered that I had enough experience to teach other people. Our tutors at our academy have all got 10 years plus aesthetics experience, whereas sometimes I'll see somebody who's learn aesthetics and then 18 months later, so beginners training, so they obviously then have to do their advanced and everything, and then they're literally teaching other people, and you're thinking, well, that's madness, because you're still a beginner.
Of course.
And it's all of this that gives, and I think this applies to every part of the beauty industry, it's these quick fixes that give the rest of us, people who have invested in the training, the bad reputation.
Massively.
Because it's those people that have these crazy reactions, or, you know, things go wrong because they're a little bit clueless. And it gives those guys who put money, time and effort into mastering our craft, we get the stick of it.
We do, and I think as well it's the for treatments as well as training, as you touched on before, is up against people saying, oh, well, I can get it cheaper elsewhere, and will you match this and will you match that? And it's like, if we say with our academy, if there's the same level of training, the same quality of the training of ours, and you find it a little bit cheaper elsewhere, yes, we will look at it. But we're not going to price match 15 different treatments at £1,000, you know, it's because we wouldn't allow our academy to teach you that in 3 days. That's going to take weeks of training. We would be at a loss. So I think that's, you know, one thing to be really careful of is who they're choosing as an academy, who's actually teaching them.
It.
Reviews. You know, with our CPD accreditation, we've won awards 2 years in a row for constant 5-star reviews and the quality of the training. I think people need to check things like that as well from students that have been in the past.
That leads on to my question too. What do you think, so if you were as a client and you had to go and choose an aesthetics practitioner, what do you think the main factors of them choosing one is?
I think it's quite a personal thing, choosing somebody. It's your face. I think the main things that are, for me, is you need to find your aesthetics practitioner approachable and friendly. You need to be able to speak to them openly about what you want. You don't want to go in and feel like you can't say how you feel. You know, you don't really want to say what you're thinking as to what you want. You know, you always get advice off the practitioner, but you still want to be able to voice yourself. So I think that's really important. I think also we touched on this before about building trust. You know that person is not going to do something just for the sake of it. They're going to advise you whether you spend £50 or £700. They're going to advise you on what the best thing is for you. And I think the other thing is checking that. I'm not going to say the level of experience, because if somebody has had the right training, then they are safe to do the treatment. You need to check that they've had the right training if they are new to it and it's not a clinic that's been going for quite a while, and they've done, say, the complications training. You know, I get people in that come in for masterclasses and they've not even been taught how to deal with a complication. And my mind's just blown. I'm like, what academy is teaching somebody and not teaching them what could go wrong and how to deal with it? Like, it's madness.
So do your research, guys.
Do your research. 100%. And I think as well, not to rely on just like looking at what they've seen on their Instagram. You know, like all the social media. Actually do some background work into it as well.
Reviews, recommendations. A lot of our clients over the years have actually come from recommendations. Until 2 years ago, didn't really do advertising. Or anything. It was mostly word of mouth recommendations, things like that. So I think that's really important.
So were there any myths about the aesthetic kind of industry or treatments that you would want to set the record on? I feel like we've touched quite a few, but is there any that...
we've touched on some, definitely. I think one thing I would say is that, there's a couple actually that you would get asked quite a lot, and I have actually said that I need to post about one of these more, which is that people think, I don't want to get aesthetics done because if they've had the lips done, it's painful. Having your lips done is painful. Yeah. I'll never tell a client it doesn't hurt.
I love that question.
Because it does.
Does it hurt? I love that question.
And you do get some, clients that'll go, I can't really feel it. And you're like, really?
Yeah, why?
It does hurt. So what people will think is that then everything hurts. A cheek filler, etc. Everything hurts. That's not the case. Lips is probably the only one that's actually painful. Yeah. The rest of it, you can't really feel it. It's totally comfortable. So I think people think, I'm scared to get anything done because it's painful, which isn't the case. And just ask us. If you're interested in something and you're worried about it, just obviously pick up the phone. We can chat you through it. And like I say, we're in my clinic, I'm always very honest about things like that anyway. I think another one is definitely like aesthetics. You're going to look unnatural, as we've touched on. You do see a lot of it where it does look unnatural, but that's not the case if you're going to somebody who will work with what you want, basically. It's really, really easy, and actually for us, we prefer to do natural enhancements rather than something that's more extreme. It takes a lot less product to do that if you're doing something that's a tweakment rather than a huge change. I think also touching on that is that we have a client base that has a massive range of ages. So we'll have clients that are in their early 20s, but then we will treat clients 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and sometimes even 70s. I think that there's a little bit of a area where people think, I'm over a certain age, so there's no point in getting that done. Or it's only for people that are younger. I'm not going to do that. Whereas actually, I'd say 50% of our clients are over the age of 35, and they absolutely love having treatments done. They feel so much more confident by having a little bit of Botox. Another one is if you have Botox, you're just going to be frozen. You won't have any movement.
Or it's going to lift your eyebrows.
You're going to look like Spock brows. Whatever. That is another thing. You can have toxin done where you've still got movement. We can tweak. We can do it how you want it done, basically. So
I'll be definitely having treatments done when I'm in my 70s if I'm still here.
Hopefully you will be.
Then, love.
I will.
But as well, I think
might not be when you're in your 70s, so you might have to go somewhere else.
But I think as well, another thing that I always get is people think if they start having it done, that's it. You've got to keep having it done. With like Botox and stuff like that, they're like, but what if I have it done? Then what happens then what happens after? Like if you say, it can last up to like 3 to 6 months or whatever. People say to me, but then what? And I'm like, well, you can either have it, but then what'll happen? I'm like, you're not going to be like that.
Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen. Like, you can either have it done again, because they think if they start having aesthetics or whatever, that they've got to keep having it done. No, if you don't like it,
you can stop. And I think that what it is people, for example, might have Botox done, and they might have it, say, for 2 years. Then when they stop getting it done, they go, well, it's made me look really old. I've had Botox for 2 years and now it's worn off and I actually look my own age.
I look older than what I did.
And it's like,
you are 2 years older and it's wore off.
You've now got the lines and wrinkles because you're not having the Botox. And also you've got to think that if that client had not had any Botox, I always say, think of a piece of paper. If you're bending that piece of paper, then as you age more, it becomes where you're actually folding it.
Yes.
You get a crease in the skin. If you get toxin before it's become a crease, you're never going to get those lines and wrinkles because they don't have time to set in.
Yes.
Okay? Whereas if you get toxin and then all of a sudden stop taking it, you're then going to start to see, obviously, that aging, but it isn't going to be as severe. If you actually hadn't had the toxin for 2 years, you'd have had 2 years worth of that actually becoming the creases that then are visible when you're static and not actually moving. So it is a complete myth, 100%.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to use that, Claire.
Thank you. I'll let you have that one.
So in the next 5 years, where do you think this industry will be going? Because I know like there's trends and stuff like that. And where do you see yourself going in the next 5 years?
I think that's a really interesting one because of the changes that are coming up in the industry. It's a real grey area for everyone at the moment because we don't actually know 100% what those changes are going to be. They're trying to regulate the industry more is one thing, obviously. Yep. So they are trying to put some changes in place. None of us know for sure what that's definitely going to be. So it's really difficult to say. You see some academies that sort of are scaremongering people. So they're sort of saying, you need to do this training because this is actually happening. Yeah. They don't actually know that right now. And I'm certainly not saying that that's not going to happen, but we don't know.
They don't know, it's not set in stone.
We don't know. So I do think in 5 years we will be in a more regulated industry, which could be a really positive thing because it will get rid of those people in the industry that don't care about the clients, that are doing cheap treatment, they're using non-licensed products. You know, they're not following safety guidelines. They're not working in a sterile environment. People are getting infections. So that could be a really positive thing for the industry. So I think we're going to see a massive shift with that. Our training academy at the moment is going through the process of launching the regulated and recognised qualifications. So as I've said, I'm not going to sit here like some people do and say, you have to do this because otherwise you're going to have to stop practicing. We don't know that. No. But don't get me wrong, there's every positive reason as to why to do a regulated, recognised qualification. Of course there is. So that's the route that I'm going down with the academy. With the clinic, I think maybe just introducing some more, like we said, we've seen a massive increase in this people looking after the skin. So I think maybe introducing some more advanced skin devices and treatments as well. And I think that over the next 5 years, that maybe our other areas that we've got, maybe developing those a little bit more as well. Hopefully.
Great.
You did great with that because we've been asked before what our 5 year plan is and we just looked at each other really confused, didn't we?
I ain't got a clue.
We're just trying to get through each day.
Just staying alive.
We're just winging it.
We wing everything.
We're just trying as best. 5 year,
to be honest though, it was a good time to ask because it's the new year and I've just done my 2024 goals, so it's quite fresh in my mind.
Do you actually write them down?
I've wrote them down,
and so do you look at them every day? Are there somewhere that you can see?
Well, actually, I previously, if I wrote goals, wouldn't look at them that often, and then I'd kind of analyse it at the end of the year. But my partner, he's like got his own business and he's really business savvy and stuff, and he was like, right, you need to do it like this. So I've followed his lead, and basically what I've done is I've split it into work, personal goals, home life, health, fitness, and then I've put everything down.
That's great.
And then I'm checking in with it once a month because you don't want to get sort of so many months in and then look back and be like, well, I've not done that. So what I'm doing is I'm ticking it off each month, and if there's anything that I've not done, I'm like, right, I need to get on.
I like to hear about this. I like to hear what how people set out their goals and stuff. I like that one.
And I think it's really important as well for it not just to be work related.
Yeah.
You know, even if you are quite business savvy, quite entrepreneurial, I think that also it's not all just about that. You know, there's a lot of other things that affect how you are in work. So I think having the personal lifestyle,
overall,
health, fitness, that kind of thing.
Fab. Well, I've absolutely. Do you know what? I forgot I were a host on the podcast. I was just sat there listening and just zoned out. It was great.
Loved it.
Well done, Claire. Absolutely loved it. I've loved this episode.
But before we go, we have got a dilemma of the week. So Claire, we do this every single week. Our listeners write in and give us their dilemmas or something that they want our advice and help with. So one that we've got this week says that they used to throw discounts at friends and family just to kind of get them in, build a client base. They've gone on to say that they need to put boundaries in place and possibly look at, stopping the discount or lowering the discount. any advice from us guys, how we'd approach it? Have we been there before? What we would advise doing?
We have touched on this a little bit before, where you mentioned to do like a price list for family and friends.
Yes.
And give them a percentage off the treatment. Maybe like, you know, either print it out or WhatsApp it to them or whatever. If you've got a family WhatsApp, you know, like send it to them or whatever. I'm quite bad at it, to be honest, because I just like, if my friends come in, I just think, oh, I'll just knock them whatever. Like I'll just say, I'll just charge you that or whatever. So I'm quite bad at it. I do need to have like a set.
Be a little bit more strict.
Yeah.
I think as well, it becomes more in the beginning when you're not as busy. You can do things more at say cost or highly discounted. But then I had to put this in place because when you get busier, as you'll know, what I've now put in place, which are my rules, are any friends or family, I do a flat percentage discount off.
Yeah.
And then I also have rules, which is they can't come on a weekend and they cannot have an evening appointment. If you want the discount, you've got to come when it's not prime time.
Yeah.
Because what if you've got one friend, what they probably don't realise is that if you've got one friend that comes for a hydrofacial every month, hours appointment, then they come for the skin boosters, Botox, lips and other things, you know, in between. Times that by 15 friends, in a month you could be giving away 15 hours of treatments. It isn't just one person. So I think that's a really good way to explain it, to people say, look, I've looked at my diary, this is what's happening, absolutely fine, but it's a percentage and you've got to come in these times. It was funny actually, because I rang my mum last week. I was like, Mum, why do you have a Saturday appointment?
No, your mum gets it, but my mum never even gets one.
It was literally a Friday and she was in the next day and she was like, well, I can change it if you want. I was like, no, it's too late now.
My mum will be listening.
I was like, I've only just noticed you've got a Saturday appointment.
My mum will be listening this thinking, see, her mum gets appointments. My mum don't even get an appointment.
Trust me, she snuck that one in there.
I literally ring my mum and I'm like, Mum, I've had a cancellation. Do you want to come? Can you get here in next 20 minutes? Or whatever. Bless her. Or I'm doing it at home in kitchen.
I do the same. I put a flat discount and I have a booking system, but friends and family message me and I'll book you in and I'll let you know when is good for me. When it's like what you said, it's not a prime time, because...
Absolutely. And if also, I think sometimes it's having people that understand that if, for example, if my mum was in and then I had a client that wanted a Morpheus 8 treatment at the same time, they've got to be a bit flexible. Like if you ring them and say, look, I need to move your appointment, then like, fair enough.
You're not coming.
I mean, my mum, obviously, to be fair, my mum, I wouldn't charge my mum, so that's different. You know, when you're doing a bit of a percentage, it's about getting that flexibility as well, I think.
And I think just be honest with your friends and family. And we did do, like Arietta said, a full episode on this, but you need to remember, guys, that you need to, like, discounts aren't going to pay your bills. Like, it's all good doing them for your friends and for your family and spreading the love, but you need to put some focus on your business and ensure that you're getting those.
And I think as well, if you are doing like discounted rates for your friends and that, get them to advertise it for you, like advertise for you as well. Get a little bit something out of it as well. Like if they're quite good on Instagram and stuff.
Sometimes friends and family can be the worst for not doing the advertising. To be honest, you know, you not all the time, but I think, you know, like you say, probably important to have that conversation. Say, don't forget to post when you're in or whatever.
So that's it, guys.
That's it. Are we rounding it up?
Yeah.
That's all right. Are you having a little choking fit? All right.
Let's get this wrapped up.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And where can they find you, Claire?
So you can find us on Instagram, Amica Aesthetics and Amica Aesthetics Academy. Our website's really easy. It's literally www.amicaaesthetics.co.uk, and just other social media channels, Facebook, things like that as well.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so
for
much
coming
for joining us.
I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it.
See you next week, guys.
See you next week.
Bye.